So back on the Peter King podcast, really happy to be joined by Randall Cobb of the Houston Texans. And Randall is, I think, determined to play for all 32 teams in the NFL because he's really made an interesting jump. He now he's got Texas covered. He had the upper Midwest covered, but you've been a traveling man, Randall. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is my new home now. I spent 8 in Green Bay and a little stop in Dallas last year on my way down here to Houston. So I'm excited to be down here and excited to get started.
Good. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm doing sort of a day in the life of training camp. And obviously this is a weird training camp season. And I wonder, of all the things you've had to adjust to, what would you say are the 2 or 3 things that have been the biggest adjustment this year, in this year where you can't be together as much, you got to take a COVID test every day, all these things? What's been difficult?
I think the difficult point for me has been not having the opportunity to be on the field and build chemistry, not meeting my teammates until we got here and everybody's in mask. I'm meeting everyone from the organization in mask and trying to remember names without really being able to see people. So it makes it a little difficult from a personal standpoint of meeting people and talking through things.
So I hadn't even thought of that. So because you're right, when you come up to a person and see them in a mask, how can you really get to know that person?
Exactly. It made it the first time I met Tim Kelly, our offensive coordinator, in person. Like I didn't realize it was him. I thought it was him, but I wasn't sure. And then I got home and I texted him later that night, like, "Hey, well, just making sure that was you that I talked to earlier." Right? So, it makes things a little difficult, but we're taking it day by day and just trying to, most importantly, understand what we're trying to accomplish as an offense and being in the right places in the formation and walking through right now our assignments. So that's the big thing right now that we're trying to adjust to.
How seriously, if at all, did you consider opting out? You're a veteran. You've made a lot of money playing this game. I'm sure you could go away and not play anymore and be financially well suited. How much did you think about it?
I thought about it a lot. I talked to my wife, daily through scenarios, dating back to April. We didn't know what it was going to be. I was one that was a little more vocal throughout the off season, understanding, trying to figure out what our options were going to be, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. The ability in our situation to be able to have the option to know. I don't take it lightly because of everything that's going on right now with COVID, and the employment rate is up. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people can't feed their family, and I know that. And I'm in a very fortunate situation, and I didn't take that decision lightly at all. No.
How close did you come?
I would say I was pretty close. I have a 6-month-old child. My oldest will be 2 next week. And, most importantly, their safety, my safety, my wife's safety is the most important thing to me. And, being able to come here to the facility and walk around the building and see the precautions that we're taking and trying to be in the best situation that we can, given, what's going on. We're taking all the steps that we can to try to limit cases. And I think as far as the team so far, we haven't had anyone test positive. So that's a positive. And, hopefully we continue to push forward through that. And, we'll see as the season goes along what happens.
How do you think you'll handle it with your family during the season? Will you be in the same room with them a lot when you go home? How do you think you'll handle that?
Well, I think right now, knowing that no one is tested positive in our facility, it definitely makes me a little more comfortable to be around my family and be around my kids when I'm at home. But say guys test positive here at the building, it may make me a little more apprehensive to doing so. And, if that time comes, and I may look into, getting a hotel or something, and, not putting my family in any kind of exposure.
So this is such a different year, and not just because of COVID. I find a lot of the social unrest and the protests and unrest in the wake of the George Floyd murder, that so many people have kind of woken up to some degree all over the country, and certainly not just black people, but white people too. And just this week, you guys with the Texans, you've had speakers come in to talk to your team, or a speaker talk to your team virtually, whose mom had been a victim in the Charleston shooting. Bill O'Brien has talked very emotionally about what the George Floyd incident did to him personally. You're having a Rock the Vote meeting to try to have more people register to vote. How different is that, and does that make this whole kind of training camp and preseason?
Oh yeah, it's definitely different. You go back to the George Floyd situation. You're talking about 8 minutes and 46 seconds that the world being stopped pretty much. Everyone is at home, not working. If so, working from home. It's a different situation. I think it's the first time that a large population has been able to see what's happening in America. This isn't new. This isn't something that just took place. These have been happening for years. And someone like me, I'll be honest, you become numb to it because you see it so much. I grew up in Tennessee. I've witnessed prejudice. I've witnessed things happen, not only to me, but people around me. So you become aware, and I was numb for a long time. And I think in the last 4 or 5 years, I've really opened my eyes and understand that I have a platform to where I can be a voice for the voiceless. I think about my 14-year-old self. I can speak for my 14-year-old self, that don't have the resources that I now have. So being able to use my platform in the right way. And, I think that you take those 8 minutes and 46 seconds and you see the action that's taking place throughout our country, through sports. People are using their platforms for the better, and trying to bring light to the injustice that we faced.
Unlike prior times in our country where everybody was concerned for a while and nothing happened, do you have any feeling now whether you think things actually might change for the better?
I have hope. I have hope that they can. I feel more resolved now when you think about some of the voices that have come out and said things, some of the organizations and the businesses that have backed a movement. I think that speaks. I think that speaks volumes to where we are and where we're trying to go. But a decal on the back of my helmet isn't going to change anything. What's going to be real change is us going to vote and going and allowing our voice to be heard, not only from a presidential standpoint, but from a state and local. Those votes matter. Those people that you're voting for, those votes matter. You need to know what people stand for and do your homework. So when you go to the polls, not only from a president, but from state legislator, the Senate, all these people that are speaking for you. You need to know, and I think that's something that we're trying to educate people and understand that it's bigger than one vote.
You're in a pretty important state for for the presidential election, number one, and and also a lot of local elections. Do you think you'll get involved this fall?
I'm trying to, given obviously where we stand right now. It's kind of hard to go out. I'm not trying to
Right.
go out there on a pedestal and do anything, but I am trying to bring light and trying to learn about the people here that are running in a different elections here locally.
You're also on your roster, you've got Kenny Stills, who you'll get to play with, I'm assuming, and also Mike Thomas. Both of those guys have been hugely active. And I wonder, have you gotten to know them yet? It's early, but have you gotten to know them yet? And what sort of ideas have you exchanged with them?
I've talked to Mike a little bit. Not enough. Obviously, like I said, we're in different locker rooms right
Yeah.
now. We only have so many people in each locker rooms. We're not really around each other as like what you would normally think in a locker room. We're here for an hour or so here and there, and we're at home on Zoom calls for most of our meetings at this time. So, when we're here, we're about our work, about our business that we need to handle with workouts and with preparing for the season. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to have a little bit more downtime in the locker room and be able to have some of those conversations.
Let's get back to football and ask you a few things about the difficulty of this year and also kind of the promise of this year. As we sit here, we're recording this on Thursday, August 6th. You've got a game 5 weeks from today that probably half the free world will be watching because it's the first NFL game of the season. And you've got to go up and play the reigning Super Bowl champions. As you look at not just sort of the football task in front of you, but no preseason games, probably not nearly as much practice as certainly your coaches would like. How difficult a task is it going to be to prepare to play football this season?
At the end of the day, football is football. You want to be at the best shape that you can, and we're at different places from our training in the off season. A lot of guys had opportunity to train, some didn't as much. So we're at different places as far as our training, and we're trying to give a baseline for everybody right now and try to build up and prepare for the season. But mentally, football is a very mental sport. It's about seeing the defenses and understanding what you're trying to accomplish offensively and preparing that way. It's a mental process. So we can still practice those mental cues and understanding. But it is going to be difficult. But once we get out on the field, it's football. So we'll be ready to play whenever that time comes.
Do you think that you'll be able to have the same approach to playing football in the middle of a pandemic? Or do you think it'll ever be on your mind that, hey, this guy over here is sweating on me and all that? Will you be able to go out and play freely?
I think so. And I say that me personally, it gives me a lot of relief knowing that guys have been tested. We're going into a game knowing that the guy's tested negative and that he doesn't have it at that point unless he did something, the night before the game. It's going to be hard for him to get on the field testing positive. So knowing that, I think it gives you a little bit of relief to where you can kind of cut free and go play ball. But at the end of the day, we'll see where this season goes and where it leads us.
Not to say you're an epidemiologist, and neither am I, but do you have much of a gut feeling about whether this can work?
I really don't. The bubble makes sense to me with the NBA. I think they've done a great job, but it's like you're living in your own little town, own little world. Here, people have to go to the grocery store. People are cleaning. People have all kind of things that's going on that they have to get out of the house for. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Guys are staying in hotel, have workers that's cleaning their rooms that you just don't know. I think there's a little more uncertainty when it comes to that. But as long as no one's testing positive in our building, that's going to be the first and foremost thing for me.
At the end of the day, you got to trust the people around you. That's it. And I hate to be fatalistic, but I toured the Vikings facility 2 weeks ago, and their trainer is a guy named Eric Sugarman. He's their infection control officer. And when I left the building that day, I said to Eric Sugarman, "Man, nobody's getting COVID in here. I could eat off the floor in this place." And then 6 days later, he tests positive for it. He thinks he probably got it at home, but he doesn't know. But that's the weird thing about this. You can do everything right, and there's no guarantee. And that's why it's got to be hard for anybody, player, coach, whoever, because you can do everything right, and you really never know.
That's true. That's the truth. And God forbid we don't have anyone that gets sick and it's deathly. I think that hopefully we don't get to that point, and hopefully we don't want to see that. But that's a reality that we could face. So we have to understand where we're at as a country, and especially trying to play a game. As much as I love this game, it's still a game, and we have to remember that. So as of now, we're on track, and we're doing everything we can, but we'll see as time goes.
I'm highly impressed. I have no idea how you could be batting 1,000 and having nobody test positive. I mean, it's a pretty great. I know, but it's a great achievement for whatever it is, been 10 days, whatever, 8 days. You guys are doing well.
It's still early. Let's hold off. Let's not be like Florida or Texas early on.
Well, you're in Texas, so I mean,
Texas, but I guess we're in a safe haven here.
Yeah. Two other things. When you think about the offense that you're going to be in, and you've obviously seen and watched Deshaun Watson, tell me what you think about your place in this offense, and early on what you think of this offense.
I think my role is going to be a lot similar to what I've done over my career. Trying to be a third down situational guy that is able to pick up third downs. Being on the same page with Deshaun, we're trying to build that chemistry through communication, through talking through situations, and I think when you talk about our offense, we have a lot of weapons. Obviously with the loss of Pop in the trade, we picked up a David Johnson, and we picked up a Brandon Cooks, and you add me to the mix. I think between the four of us receivers and David and Duke Johnson in the backfield, I think that we provide a threat for opposing defenses that they have to cover the whole field. So I look forward to the opportunity and being able to continue to work and build something special here in Houston.
I wonder, what is Deshaun Watson like? I know it's very early, but for you to get used to a new quarterback without having a lot of off-season time and without having probably as much training camp time as you want, how do you think you're going to be able to build that chemistry?
I think, like I said, through communication, through conversations that we're able to have. And then when we get to the practice field, being able to go through those situations. Like right now, we're just doing walkthroughs. So we talk about something on the sidelines, and whenever we get on the field and, we see a certain pressure and being able to adjust hot to it, that's trust builders. Whenever he comes to me, even in a walkthrough, him seeing the angle that I'm going to come out of a route, like that's a trust builder for him. So continuing to be on point with those little details and let him know that I understand the offense and where I need to be, I think he'll continue to grow comfortable with me.
Are you kind of excited, even though it's new, to be able to play with? I mean, look at your quarterbacks, who you've been able to play with in your career. You've played with three guys who we're all going to play, obviously, multiple Pro Bowls and all that. Has that been fun for you as a player, Rodgers, Prescott, Watson?
It's been a lot of fun for me. I think one of the cool things about it is seeing the difference between the three and continuing to learn from them, but also, with like Dak last year, with Watson now here in Houston, is being able to help them with the experience that I've gained throughout my career playing with Rodgers. So, using the things that I've learned in my career and trying to pass it along and help them out with their game.
Hey, Randall Cobb, really wish you well. It's going to be fun to watch this year. I have no idea what's going to happen. Neither do you. And that's part of what is probably going to make it fun.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. Time will tell. Thanks.
Hey, all the best to you, Randall. You take care.
All right. You too. See you.
Hey, thanks so much.
No problem.
Appreciate you doing it. Good luck. Stay safe.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.